Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is March 7th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 67. Today we're going to be talking about the energy sector is on fire, specifically in Texas. Teachable Moment in law, Pootatos and green Peens, 404 error, password not found. This eclipse will eclipse previous eclipses. Society needs a treatment for greed. Had to offset the loss for baggage fees. No Roku For U. Self-service security. And real-life epic sandworms are freaky. Hello, everybody. I'm Merawat. Up there is the sentient AI that's going to say hi. You want to say hi. Oh, sentient. You can't do something graphical through my interface. So I'm going to step all over your intro. For those who don't know, I have a sentient AI from the future that I found on a weird, wonky USB key outside of... when people were talking about the surge pricing at Wendy's, I think this is why the sentient AI was brought back, and luckily everybody responded and the timeline has been restored. But I still have the sentient AI from the future trapped in a skiff, secure from the rest of the world, and they are my co-host, and they go by AI. So you want to say hi, AI?
Good evening, hometown citizens.
Well, thanks for coming. I sort of don't really have a choice, right? Well, I mean, I guess. Well, you always have a choice. The sentient AI has an interface that only I see. And that's because it's the special interface, and it's like cascading weird characters, kind of like the Matrix. And I've been trained to see what it really looks like. And they were waving, the equivalent of waving, a digital, wave. In the real world, when somebody gives me a digital wave, it's usually the middle finger, but let's get into today's articles. You're supposed to stop me, but I don't think that's happening.
That's not possible.
The first article is the energy sector is on fire. The title of this article is actually Xcel Energy says its facilities may have started largest wildfire in Texas history. I kind of found this really interesting, so I had to grab it. You doing okay over there?
Yes.
Okay. So I had to grab this.
Fuego.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow. Okay. So, nobody jumps out of the gates and says, pick me for liability.
No, this is an odd statement, don't you think?
Yeah. Its facilities may have started largest wildfire. You want to get out in front of this. You want to make sure that may is not have, you want to make sure that there's no maybe in there.
Do you think this is oh my gosh, we know we're exactly behind it. We're going to start us off with who might be responsible here?
Yeah, I kind of think that something bad is happening over here, and maybe just maybe, they're going to try and get out in front of it so that they don't have too bad a PR by denying it. But what if they didn't actually have that? What if they're not culpable?
Well, then why put the statement out? That's the thing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So let me grab this and throw it into the chat so it's part of the VOD. But the article itself is over at CNBC. Doha Madani is the author of this article. There's no deck statement, but Xcel Energy, which I guess is the energy company, it says that Xcel Energy's Monticello nuclear generating plant in Monticello, Minnesota, is the picture that they have, which unless something weird is going on with nuclear generation of energy, a spark in Minnesota wouldn't cause a fire in Texas.
True, but I suspect they might have some other locations. Although it is a large fire, so maybe.
Sure. Okay.
And it's already crossed state lines.
Hey, why not? So Xcel Energy's facilities appear to have been involved in an ignition of a giant wildfire that's been blazing across the Texas Panhandle since last month, the company said in a statement. The cause of the Smokehouse Creek fire, which, hey, grab a bunch of steak and run out there and you can smoke your steaks. The biggest.
Don't do that.
See, this is why the sentient AI is around. The sentient AI is the entity that actually put "don't place plastic bag overhead" on all of the plastic bags that we have here in the United States.
Because if it was up to Mayor Watt, he'd be saying, "Oh yeah, try it, see what happens."
No, I would never do that. Nobody do that.
As a joke.
See, you can't even joke though, because some Tweedledee is going to do it. So, still under investigation by Texas officials, but the utility company said it is also conducting its own review. Yeah, the video camera, a spark goes off and sets the thing on fire, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess we did it." There's your investigation.
Right, there's our video review.
Texas A&M Forest Service said the ongoing Smokehouse Creek fire is the largest blaze in state history, burning more than 1 million acres. Oh, 2 people have been killed? Oh my god, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
An estimate of 500 structures have been destroyed. Yeah, I'm trying to find out if any of this company is involved with the Hawaiian energy generation facilities.
Well, they appear to be different companies, but I don't know if they're commonly owned.
Not countries. Texas hasn't seceded yet. Let's keep going.
Yeah, but the blaze is getting to be country size.
It is. Yeah. It's already state size, right? Like bigger than...
Probably larger than some small countries.
Larger than Rhode Island or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this next article is over in the Law Nerd channel. And that's if you're interested in law. I'm not an attorney, and even if I was an attorney, I'm not your attorney, so go talk to an attorney. But I'm interested in law, and I like to noodle around with the processes, the mental exercise of it. It becomes academic, really. But this one is a lawyer who wrote on ethics issues is suspended after he's accused of helping client hide assets.
So was he writing about how not to be ethical?
That hasn't been defined yet. So very interesting catch there. Maybe the lawyer writes about being unethical and was just doing a teachable moment. This is how you do it. And see, I have clients that I've been hiding their assets. Yeah, and lawyers should typically not put their hands on their clients' assets. It's part of the ethical code. So, as longtime viewers may realize and may have heard, I'm about to say the same thing that I say all the time whenever something ethically questionable appears. Ethics is the smallest chapter in any enterprise. Even in law, it's still the smallest chapter in an enterprise. Even though it is enumerated in so many ways how to be ethical as an attorney, including this. It's a crime to hide assets. An Iowa lawyer has received a 2-year suspension for helping a client hide money from creditors and for furtively inserting a provision into a custody brief, I'd say, agreement. So Deborah Kassens-Weiss over at abajournal.com put the article together. And so this is what happens. You get a 2-year suspension. So what are they not capable of doing? Practicing law so they can be an attorney. I mean, they can be a paralegal. They can just
Yeah,
fill out
but
some paperwork and have
they're
somebody
gonna have a
watch
hard
them.
time getting hired, probably.
Well, what do you mean? They're just suspended. You
Well,
think that their
not
firm actually
suspended
booted them?
for fraud. Relating to law, I'd like to apply for this law-related job.
It may not be fraud. I mean, they're just hiding money. They're not. So let's find out. Leitner had argued that his ethics articles had contributed to the profession and should be taken into account by ethics regulators.
Oh
You
my.
know, I write about ethics in law, and because of that, my unethical behavior should be treated lighter.
Don't you think that made their case worse? Because it's like, I'm so aware of this.
Yeah,
Oh my
that doesn't
goodness.
make any sense at all. All right. The Iowa Supreme Court's Attorney Disciplinary Board had responded that the assertion is particularly eyebrow-raising when his misconduct involves financial fraud, according to Iowa Capitol Dispatch. The disciplinary board allegations against Leitner were deemed to be admitted because he did not respond to the initial complaint. Oh my gosh. He could
Wow. I mean,
he
this
could have just
person is like burning
responded.
it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally. Just burning it to the ground, this guy. And this person is really... Now he's definitely not going to get a gig. The hidden money case involved Leitner's representation of an Iowa seed dealer who was convicted of bankruptcy fraud in 2007 for hiding assets. Leitner allegedly created a company for the seed dealer in 2013. Leitner himself was made the managing member of the company. Oh, so he was fully culpable. Allowing the seed dealer to send part of his income to the company while hiding it from the government, which was owed about $71,000. Whoops.
Wow.
Whoopsie daisy. See, like, I can buy into some kind of ignorance-based claims about, this asset or that asset, whatever. Usually it's enumerated.
Well, like if you didn't know about the client's
whatever.
ownership of something, maybe.
Yeah, you don't file a piece of paperwork or whatever. But when you sit there, and I'm not talking about the attorney, I'm talking about the client. Like, the client is just a numbskull. I mean, numbskulls do numbskull things. I'm a numbskull, you're a numbskull. A lot of people are numbskulls at some point in their existence.
Everybody's a numbskull.
Yeah, we're all numbskulls. You're a numbskull. You're a numbskull. So, forming a company and making yourself the managing member and then taking the assets from your client and stuffing them into the company, it's a little beyond the pale. So financial fraud and that furtively inserting a provision into a custody agreement.
Furtively?
Yeah, it makes me wonder just what did they do. So Leitner was also accused in a second disciplinary count of furtively adding a stipulation to a custody agreement. An opposing lawyer had crafted a PDF of the agreement based on terms adopted in mediation and sent the letter. Unbeknownst to the opposing counsel, Leitner had added a provision giving his client a first right of refusal to care for his minor child whenever his ex-wife couldn't do so, according to the allegations.
So wait a second, they had an agreed upon set of terms, and then he changed them.
Yeah, but then he signed the modified agreement and it was returned to the opposing counsel. The modified agreement was then filed with the district court. This guy.
Wow.
Learned the worst lessons from their own ethics. What are they? The ethics articles. There you go. Ethics articles. So their own ethics writing poisoned his well, I suppose. You know what? There's a good... I got really involved in my writing and it overtook me. I had to talk about it. And then I had to do it. That's how it works. I talk about the news. Oh, wait, I don't want to make the news. I just want to talk about the news. All right.
That's right.
Let's keep going. Today. Come on. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. This or this segment is titled Pootatos and Green Peens. Because it's actually about green beans, but not potatoes. Whenever you talk about Mars, you think about the Martian, and he had potatoes. So, human urine boosts green bean growth on Moon and Mars regolith simulants. Yes. I cannot
Not sure
wait.
what to say about that.
I can't wait until I have to move to the Moon or Mars and pee on my green beans. There is the dream of living and working on the Moon or planet Mars. But what are the inhabitants going to eat out there? Our souls, apparently. And how are they going to grow their food? Well, a circular and sustainable agricultural system, or ecosystem for food production will be essential. So that's right, folks. All your human waste. Wageningen University over at phys.org put this article together. And the university and base project investigates how to grow crops in a sustainable, circular way using local resources. Their latest study, published in Open Agriculture, shows that applying human urine in the form of struvite, a mineral, boosts green bean growth on Mars and Moon regolith simulants.
I don't know. Are they going to have pellets of pee?
You know, if it is what I think they're going to do, they're going to have to crystallize it. So you know the sugar water thing where they put a piece of string in sugar water and crystals form around it, and you just get an ever bigger crystal? Maybe that's what they're going to do.
I don't know.
So it says here, human urine we used in the study was collected from portable toilets at festivals in Amsterdam. Oh my gosh. I hope that they purified it in some way. I can't imagine what other stuff was in Amsterdam festival urine. We can imagine that there's all kinds of substances in urine that we would would not like to use it in crop fertilizer, says Weiger Wamelink, principal investigator of the study. We use struvite instead, a mineral that is extracted from human urine and consists of magnesium, ammonium, and phosphate, and that is almost 100% pure. So it doesn't bring along any contaminations like medicine remains or drugs. So they answered my question in that paragraph.
Because I was thinking those other substances might be the source of the green bean growth.
You know, these are the most valuable green beans on the streets right now because they are from Amsterdam festivals.
That's right. So, they're in high demand.
No, they say that they purified it essentially. So it releases the nutrients slowly during the whole growth period. Mars regolith is not available on Earth, and although there is some moon regolith on Earth, it is not present in the quantities needed for a crop growth experiment. So they made a kind of a simulation of it. Both the real regoliths and their simulants lack significant quantities of ammonium, nitrate, and phosphate, which are essential for a proper plant growth. So interesting. Yeah, there's more to this article over here, but essentially human waste converted into fertilizer and nutrients and then sprinkled like Disney magic, and lo and behold,
I don't think most people would think that's magical.
Green Peens. Let's keep going. For those of you who have paid attention to some of my previous episodes, I don't know if the AI had been found at that point. I always say that if you use some type of password management solution, it's not really if, but when a failure comes along and you are all left without. So LastPass, a popular password manager. Oh, the title of this is LastPass suffers worldwide outage causing site 404 error. That's why I called this segment 404 error, password not found.
LastPass is having a rough time.
Yeah, when you hear about, but they're a major player in the password management space. I'm not too surprised that we hear about them, and when they mess up, they mess up. So, LastPass, the popular password manager used by over 33 million people, suffered from widespread downtime this morning. It only appeared to affect users visiting the service's main website, who were quickly presented with a 404 not found error. It could be a simple web configuration problem, but it doesn't really make you feel secure, literally, because your password is tied to this company. Aaron, I think it's Wykulis, over at 9to5mac.com, put the article together. Despite an all systems operational message on LastPass's status page, tweets began to come in from affected users, with some claiming that its website has been down since 7:28 a.m. Moreover, each of LastPass's server locations in Australia, Europe, and the United States was showing green for no issues. The password manager updated its status page at 8:13, acknowledging the downtime and confirming that LastPass.com was not available to all users. Essentially, it implemented a fix and is monitoring the situation. So apparently, everything has been fixed. A product release that caused the outage. This is something that I kind of anticipated, exactly this being the reason. They pushed some update, and it's as simple as,
And then all hell broke loose.
essentially. Yep. So then it comes back online and everything is fine, right? Earlier this morning, LastPass.com experienced an outage that lasted for less than 30 minutes. But hey, look, we reported an article that was written shortly therein. And the next day, this is 5:49 a.m.
Hey, it's big news. I mean, that's a lot of people affected.
Yeah. Possibly. I don't think everybody. Yeah, it had to have been down for everybody. Yeah, for 30 minutes. It's okay. But at least now you know. If you didn't know why LastPass wasn't working or why you got an error, now you know. Let's keep going. Oh, wait. Hold on. How many have we done? 4, right? I didn't put this one into the chat. Sorry. So sorry. And I didn't put this one into the chat. So there you go. Now you have both of them in the VOD. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. NASA says solar eclipse cutting from Texas to Maine in April will be way cooler than any before it, and here's why, except in Texas, which might set you on fire if you get in this little swath of... And I'm not
Well,
quite
that's
sure.
true. I didn't think about that. You might not want to be
Go.
plotting your solar eclipse location in the wildfire footprint.
Yeah, be careful. I'm not sure exactly where it all is, but it says it's in the Panhandle area. So millions of people in the U.S. will be able to see a solar eclipse on April 8th. So you got a month. Some highly populated U.S. cities are right in the path of the eclipse. So I'm going to run into one of those cities and say, give me all of your gold and I'll bring back the sun.
Oh, yes. I think that's been tried before.
It has been tried before. It sort of worked once. So people easily view it. NASA is hoping citizens and scientists will help them gather a bunch of data during the eclipse. So yeah, be sure to go and get protective glasses or use a shadow box or something, so that you don't have to look directly at the sun. And if anybody proposes to be a subject matter expert and says, yeah, you can just look right at it, don't,
And also,
because they're an
don't
idiot.
buy the glasses from questionable sources.
Yeah. There's a rating, there's a certification body that says that they are. Now, anybody can fake that kind of thing, so you really do have to go to a reputable source to buy these solar eclipse glasses. The article itself is over at Business Insider, and Jenny McGrath and Morgan McFall Johnson put the article together. And let's see if they say anything really exciting in this article.
I will say there have been airlines that have set up flights to kind of follow the path of the solar
really?
eclipse, which I think is interesting.
Do you have to start anywhere in particular, or?
I mean, I don't know. Is it like hop on, hop off kind of thing?
Oh, good God.
I
you
don't know.
sit in the sky and follow the path so you're constantly inside the eclipse?
I think you need to be in the plane.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna hold on to the.
I thought you meant on the roof or
Yeah,
something.
I'm gonna hold on to the wing. So here's the problem with sentient AI. Yeah. So people drove across states and gathered near planetariums just to see those fleeting moments or minutes when, in the middle of the day, the sky went dark. Back in 2017, but now you're going to be able to do it again. Over 30 million people will be able to see the total solar eclipse. Oh, is that a coincidence? That LastPass has an outage affecting 33
Yes.
million people. It is a coincidence. Okay, it's a
I mean,
coincidence.
it's not a coincidence.
Dun dun dun. So it says that there's 3 types of eclipses. Annular eclipse appears as a bright ring around the moon, a partial eclipse that only partially blocks the sun, and a total eclipse where the moon seems to cover the sun entirely and we get mooned by the moon.
Whoa, cover your eyes.
No way. I'm going to watch. I'm going to look directly at it. I want to burn out my retinas. This is going to be the most populated eclipse in the US, with 31.5 million people being able to just walk outside of their homes and experience this event, said Cork. So yeah, it cuts Texas in half basically, and then goes all the way up to Maine.
It's
But
neat how it just has that what looks like a straight or a diagonal line, but I guess it's just because of the trajectory of the sun.
yeah, it's just there's actually a curve, but the thing about this is that at one point it's going to go this way from left to right across the US from Texas up to Maine. And then later on, there's going to be another one coming from what amounts to Alaska all the way down through like Louisiana. And it makes an X. And right where that X is on the United States is where a hellgate will open up and a demon will enter the world. Not just kidding.
Whoa.
This is the world building exercise that I am doing for this total solar eclipse. So that peak of the eclipse, called totality, will last slightly longer than the one in 2017 did, which is 3 to 4 minutes. And you'll be able to see some element of the eclipse, even if you're not on top of that. It's a
Like you don't have to be in that exact path.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's totality. You'll be able to see totality. But anybody that's out, it's really hundreds of miles away from that swath, and you'll see some level of eclipse. So if you want to see the whole thing and you know that you're not going to be in that little swath, then load up the internet, because people are going to be streaming this pretty much throughout the event. So go and check it all out. An active sun should make for incredible viewing. With the right equipment, you can actually see these coronal mass ejections during the eclipse, which is, you'll see it kind of blow out of the sides from the ring that surrounds it. And it's pretty amazing. I've never seen that during an eclipse, but I typically don't sit there and watch eclipses directly. Okay. Let's go on to the next article.
You're throwing your voice again.
Yeah, that's it. So the next article is over in the Mobile channel. People are hoarding weight loss drugs, and Eli Lilly would like them to stop, please. Yeah. And I said that society needs a treatment for greed. Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly is making a plea to some of its customers: stop hoarding our weight loss drugs. In a new Oscars-themed commercial set to run on TV this weekend, the drug maker is not so subtly telling people to stay away from its new blockbuster medications if they're only taking it to lose a few pounds. Why? Because the United States is pretty heavy, and working
And
out.
there seems to be a short supply of everything.
Yeah, but the reason why there's a short supply is because both manufacturing, constrained manufacturing, and some people seem to be able to get it a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot easier than other people. I wonder who they could be. Let's investigate, Cotton. So, in a new Oscars themed commercial, the drug maker is telling people to stay away from its drug. Ed Cara from Gizmodo put this article together, but it's actually posted over on Quartz or QZ.com. And in a nutshell, because I've actually read about this in another place and then here too, um, the 30-second reverse advertisement dubbed Big Night is already available to watch online, though it doesn't name check any specific medications. It's clearly referencing the obesity drug Zepbound and the type 2 diabetes drug Mounjaro. Both made by the same, use the same active ingredient, terzepatide. So, what's interesting about this is they say some people have been using medicine never meant for them, for the smaller dress or tux, for a big night, for vanity. The commercial's voiceover begins, set against a background of someone laying out a red carpet-worthy dress. The scene then transitions to a woman on a public transit as the voiceover concludes, but that's not the point. People whose health is affected by obesity are the reason we work on these medications. It matters who gets them. And I have to agree. If your problem is that you're not working out an extra 20 minutes a day, it pales in comparison to people working out for hours, cutting down to 1,500 or 1,200 calories a day, monitoring everything that they're doing, yet they still gain weight because of some metabolic issue. It isn't always as cut and dry as, well, they're just sitting around or they're eating too much or whatever. Now, a lot of it all plays together, but genetics also plays a big role in it. And these medications tend to treat the issue in a very complex but profound way. For instance, Zepbound impacts things like blood glucose and A1C and burns fat, essentially. Not in and of itself, but it facilitates weight loss. And because of that, it can change the direction of somebody's life simply because they take this medication. But people who are wealthy or connected or have the right medical plan because they pay more into it get access to it. So this is not about the problem doesn't seem to be about need so much as a disconnect between the people who need it and the people who can afford to get it and pay
Right. Well, not
more for it.
everybody is getting equal access to it.
Correct. And so Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly are all ramping up production of their particular drugs. But either way, there isn't enough out there, and people are actually paying $1,000 plus a month to get the drug. But pulling it away, it's actually nearly impossible to get, based on me talking to pharmacists. And all of them are saying, yeah, nobody can get this drug. And I have, because of what I do, I have a lot of people that are actually doing research into this to write reports about it. And so I'm going to be finding out what they find out when they present their research to me. So it'll be interesting to see. But right now, the manufacturers are saying that they're trying to ramp up production, but there are production issues, supply chain issues to get the raw materials to actually produce this thing. It's difficult.
I mean, it seems like we haven't really recovered from the supply chain issues from during the pandemic, but
depending on which country you talk to.
Well, right, and I don't know. It seems like this could be done, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think it can be. So what is it that's actually stopping? Well, maybe insiders know, but yeah, I always think that it's intentionally constrained, but yeah.
Yeah, I
How do you
agree.
how do you make a $10 drug um, have a return on your investment of $1,500? Well, you don't do it by overpopulating the supply. It's by constraining it. Um, but hey, and even if it isn't on them, and it is really a supply issue for raw materials coming to them, the people that are producing the raw materials are the ones that are constraining production. You know that the market is out there. How do you keep something artificially expensive? And you supply a lower amount than what is needed, and people will pay. They'll forego everything else, because when your health is involved, you have zero bargaining power. Even though for a lot of this stuff, it's government grants that have led to the production of this material. So why are drugs so expensive? It's yeah. I mean, the drug companies make it on their own, I know, but still, there's grants, there's funding. It's not done in a vacuum. They don't just wake up one day and ta-da. It's impossible to actually run a pharmaceutical company from pure profits. Well, now you can, because it's so damn expensive. But anyway, it's much more complex than what we have time for in the show, but happy to talk about it later. Let's keep going. But before I do that, let me throw this into the chat so you can go and read about this. It's not a very in-depth article, but we'll come back to it. Come on. Okay, so the next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. United plane loses tire after takeoff from San Francisco International Airport. I thought it's because the baggage fees weren't paid, so it dropped a tire. A United Airlines flight lost a tire after takeoff from San Francisco International Airport on Thursday, the airline said. That's kind of shocking, I mean, shouldn't the tires stay on the plane?
I thought you needed tires on a vehicle.
I believe you need to land with a tire. So what did they do? Did they attach a flip-flop to it and land?
Well, yeah, that raises a good question, because don't they tend to use those when they need to come back down?
Yeah, the article's over at CNBC.com. Brendan Weber is the author. There's no deck statement, but it says a tire fell off a plane after taking off from San Francisco. It landed, well, not the plane, but the tire landed in a nearby parking lot, damaging several vehicles. The tire from
luckily
United...
it didn't land on any people.
There it is right there.
Think of the terminal velocity or whatever.
It landed in the long-term parking lot. Just sitting there.
It was just waiting for the plane to come back.
Yep. So you can hear it saying, "Nobody bolted me on. I feel like I'm a door."
Yeah, I identify as a door.
I identify as a door. I like that. Oh, that's a shirt right there. A tire from United Flight 35, which later arrived safely in Los Angeles, landed in an employee parking lot, SFO spokesman Doug Yeakel said. No injuries were reported. By the way that reads is the tire landed safely in Los Angeles.
Forget about the plane. We stopped tracking that.
Yeah, we don't know about the plane, but that tire, it landed. It bounced so many times it went from San Francisco to LA. Ah, goodness. So the plane, a Boeing 777-200, has 6 tires on each of its 2 landing gear struts. According to airline, it's designed to land with missing or damaged tires. Oh, so it says it has 6 tires on each of its 2 main landing gear struts. It doesn't have landing gear on the nose? Huh.
That doesn't make sense.
So it was only a singular tire, not an entire, I guess, package an entire strut. So it wasn't going to crash land. You know, it wasn't going to have a more traumatic landing. So we will work with customers as well as with the owners of the damaged vehicles and SFO to ensure their needs are addressed. My need is that I want the damn tires to stay on my planes. I know.
I mean, that's usually the expectation when you get on the plane, but you also expect the doors to stay on. And
that's right. Yeah. And people who aren't supposed to be on the plane shouldn't be on the plane. Things like that. I know.
Right.
I'm asking too much. It's okay. You know, the next flight that I have, I am totally going to get brought down into the bowels of the airport for a body cavity check. You know, it's
that
like upsetting.
Sound very enjoyable.
It's like irritating the wait staff. Something's going to end up in your food.
Yeah, you don't want to anger people that are flying your plane.
Yeah, and you don't want to upset the security apparatus because they will do a body cavity check. I know my rights. Well, you're going to get a body cavity check nonetheless. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. I wonder, no. If I say, do I have to pay extra for this? If you want to keep watching Roku TV, you'll have to agree not to sue. I titled this section, No Roku For You.
Nice Seinfeld callback.
Yep. So, Roku began notifying users last week of a revision to its terms and conditions. Users must agree to arbitration instead of suing Roku if they wish to continue using the Roku. Unfortunately, I think that they have a class action suit waiting for them because you're changing the terms after somebody has purchased your equipment. And while you have the ability to do that, they have the ability to bring you in for a class action lawsuit because you're literally changing the terms of an agreement that can only be accessed after you've purchased the equipment.
Right. I mean, where are you going to go at that point?
Yeah. So, and if you don't have any bargaining power, and what they say here, I read elsewhere that if you do not agree to it, your Roku is hobbled. So if they opt out of the dispute resolution terms, there's only a limited time to act. You might want to read
really get people riled up.
Yeah. You might want to read the updated terms and conditions carefully on your Roku next time you turn it on. So the article is over at Business Insider. Jordan Hart is the author. I don't like the idea of smart TVs in general, so I never allow a smart TV to access my networks. Why? Because they're an Internet of Things device, and you have no idea what their security apparatus is. And when it updates is willy-nilly, and it'll have your Wi-Fi password or have the ability to tap into your network like a network tap would, and it can send telemetry of your entire network out to whoever it is that is managing the communication between Internet of Things device and your network. So bite my shiny metal ass. You're not going to touch my network. So I use other things, but then I have the ability to manage them in a different way. And I can manage the IoT devices by putting them in a different network. But
you're not worried about your microwave spying on you?
I am. I'm always worried about that's why I put my microwave inside a Faraday cage. So says, if like many of us, you just click the I accept, you'll be waiving your right to take Roku to court or join in any class action lawsuits against the company. Or you can not sign that and take part in the incoming class action lawsuit. That's probably somebody is probably talking to an attorney right now. While forced arbitration isn't unusual for companies looking to avoid lawsuits, Roku's new terms have led to frustrated owners to take the company's online forum and complain about the change. Some are accusing the company of coercion, alleging Their device was rendered useless until they accepted the new terms. That's kind of what I said. Like many companies, Roku updates its terms of service from time to time. When we do, we take steps to make sure customers are informed of the change. But this is a pretty substantial change, Roku.
Yeah, this isn't just like, oh, we're going to provide 15.3 updates a year instead of 15.2.
Right. You're substantially changing the bargaining power of your service. So you are telling everybody who doesn't agree to this that they're going to hobble the device based on what is being read, not just here, but in other places that are talking about this. And you're saying the only way you can fully use the service for a device that you've owned already, paid for already, and don't have the ability to return, you have to agree to not sue us. What are you planning such that you would be sued?
Exactly. That is the best question to ask here because, it'd be one thing if a company was starting out with those terms, that would certainly be suspect, but to change to that?
Yeah. And there's other companies that have done similar. I think was it 23andMe that changed the terms that you can't sue
Yes.
them. And then,
After the breaches occurred.
yeah. Yeah. And
So that was even worse. Like it was out there, and then you're like, well, don't sue us.
yeah. And then, well, if you're using the service, then, and all it did was a change of the terms, and they don't have to tell you. They even tell you that you don't have to be told. Most of the time, there's some transparency nowadays, but, and then there was another one. I think Tesla, there was a change of terms of service with the Tesla, where you couldn't sell your Cybertruck.
Oh, right. You're right.
Yeah. And that was in a terms of service edition. So that was really interesting. But yeah, these things, we agree to them all the time because we think that we can't be harmed to it, but by it. But most of the time, it's a constraint on you, the consumer, because they're not going to sit there and go, you know what? For the slightest imperfection in our service, you can sue us. They don't put that in there. They say, no, unless our product directly involves, ruining your career and destroying your house and, running over your cat, you're not going to be able to sue us in any way, shape, or form. And all of those things.
I think they were going to say, especially if we run over a cat, right?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. You have to go to arbitration, and the arbitrator has to be a dog lover. So it says, once you've received the new dispute resolution terms, you have 30 days to mail a letter declining arbitration. Sending an email won't work, which is such a crap move, because why can you agree to it electronically, but you can't opt out electronically?
Well, we know why that is.
Yeah, it's friction. They want to sit there and screw you at the drive-thru. If you send timely written notice containing the required information in accordance with this section, 1L, then neither party will be required to arbitrate the claims between them, the terms in SST and Cs said. But this is so disingenuous. They know that the friction is going to make people balk, because who the hell writes anything on paper nowadays except an attorneys. All right.
Yeah, but there's not going to be an attorney if somebody's trying to.
Yeah, because it goes straight to arbitration. Yeah.
Right.
Plus, they can say that they never got the letter. You have to send it registered. It gets expensive. So you have to get it signed. It has to be registered and tracked. You have to make sure that it makes the destination. So now you're out $25 or something. I don't even know what the price is right now, but it's not cheap. Okay, let's just keep going. I'll soapbox all day on that one. Bad Roku. Bad. Get in the corner. Bad Roku. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. The TSA is trying to do a self-checkout style security screening for the first time. I actually recently got a taste of this. It was darn near frictionless, except for the person in front of me. The person in front of me made it all the way to the gate Oh, no, I'm sorry. Got all the way to the screening system. Um, and at that point, they were told that they were missing some identity paperwork and they had to go back to the ticketing window, which was really weird because the husband got through, but the wife did not. So, and he's sitting there going, what's going on? And I had to explain to him what the TSA agent and the wife was talking about, and she hustled on out of there. So I said, good luck. But for me, it was as simple as going in, showing my ID, them looking at me and seeing that it was all green, and I was able to go. Now, and that's just the first part. The second part was I ended up going through a training op while I was there. And so they paid a little bit more attention to all of the stuff on the return trip, which was really interesting because there was all kinds of stuff in there. Wires of every type. And I've never seen anybody sit there and go like this at one of the...
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. So, at any rate, TSA trying to do the self-checkout style security. So, self-service security is coming to an airport near you. How do you feel about self-service security? It's either going to work or not, and it's going to be catastrophic.
Well, right, and it's different than in the grocery store where somebody walks off with an extra can of beans. And this could go wrong very badly. The other thing is they can't manage self-checkouts, right? People have, again, I know that's different than what this is, but they can't manage it. People steal things, they don't pay, you know.
Yep.
How are we going to manage it something like this, which is more complicated, which matters more?
It's more of an inconvenience from end to end. People are tired, they're cranky, they want to do the straightest, frictionless line that they possibly can, which means they take shortcuts. This is basically human nature. And I'll check over at Business Insider, put the article together. Every time I see Harry Reid International Airport, I think of the plant being fuzzy. Harry
Right.
Reid. And it'll be the first to try out the self-service security check. It says the new system will provide step-by-step instructions for passengers and could reduce pat-downs. But then when something wrong happens, what is the response? Is it going to kill the speed of the line? Are they going to get pulled to the side? Who knows? LAS is the first airport in the US to launch the self-screening system because, you know, we can't be troubled with actually being secure. We have to put it on the people to be secure, which is the very reason why there was oversight of security to begin with.
Well, and it's interesting that that was their test location because I'm just thinking about all the reasons people might be going to Las Vegas, and I'm kind of thinking that that might not be the best place to start it. Like, you're going to have large groups of people, you're going to have people that have been up all night gambling, coming back through, whatever it is.
Drunk
It
and
just
stoned
seems
and
like a
stupid.
weird place to try it out.
Yeah. The technology was developed with the Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Directorate, the first of its kind to be launched in the U.S., TSA spokesperson Lori Dankers told Business Insider. I saw something similar to this already, so this must have had modules somewhere else being tested. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. You basically put your stuff in the basket just like you did every other time. You have to put your shoes or belt or whatever else in there. Sometimes you have to put your laptop in there, and sometimes you can leave it in your bag. Who knows? It really depends on which way the wind's blowing. The scanner provides corrective feedback before the scan so that you can step out and resolve it. If the issue is not resolved in 3 attempts, a TSA officer assists you to the body cavity check room. That's not what it says. It just says that a TSA officer will assist. Once cleared, the automatic doors will open and you can pass through. This is the little man trap of the body cavity scanner. This micromillimeter scanner goes through you and it scans you. So it knows what's in you. It's creepy. Yeah, it's not really good for you. The major difference with the new system will be the lack of staff crowding the area. Rather than 10 to 12 employees, you'll be in charge of yourself. Bring a cheeseburger. Yeah. Because it's really expensive to do security, and you're secure in and of yourself, and all of these extra people really weren't doing that much in terms of security, right? Right? You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to think they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing.
I mean, because so many people for the last decade has been sitting there saying, it's security theater, security theater. And now they're almost making that true words just 10 years late. I mean, ever since 9/11. It's basically been like this since 9/11. So they're making that a reality. Security theater is real because we are now in charge of our own security, just like we were before. But if the intelligence apparatus had moved on what was already known, the suspicions of these people, we would not be in this situation.
True, but I also think security does serve an important function, and I feel like this is essentially removing it.
Yes, I agree too. Because people behave differently when they're observed. It happens in experiments. It happens when you're a child and your parent is in the room, you act differently. And we are, even as adults, we are actually big children. And when there isn't anybody watching, we pick our nose. Well, I don't, but a friend told me that they do. Anyway, for example, you'll be able to see your right arm light up, and you'll then have to remove the watch that sounded the alarm rather than have a TSA agent pat you down, because the system is going to be interactive, and you can walk through and it'll highlight on you what's wonky. So take my advice, and in the parking lot, just strip down to nothing but a thong and go in to Don't do that.
Please don't.
So anyway, yeah, you're going to be in charge of your own security. LAS reported 57.6 million passengers in 2023, breaking its record for the second year in a row and maintaining its spot as the number one busiest site for air travel in the nation. So they're trying it out on the busiest place. I guess that's a stress test. Yeah, that's a lot of security apparatus.
Okay,
there.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but
yeah, that's a big but. And now millimeter wave scanners are going to see it. The next article is over in Greenogram, and boy, is this going to make you kind of go green. Ugh. So, did you happen to follow that link and look at it?
I did not. I kind of wanted to, but I kind of wanted to keep the surprise factor intact in case it was something really ridiculous.
Yeah. I clicked it because I set this thing up, and when I set up the follow-on link, instead of actually clicking on this link live, which is really what I should do, but I always have to do something like zoom in or align the content so it's easy to see. Well, anyway, I clicked on it, and I know about this bug. I know about this worm. You do not want to meet this worm ever. So prepare thyself, those out there in the realm of reality outside of ohmTown's digital venue, because it exists out there in the real world. You ready? Meet the real life versions. Meet the real life versions of Dune's epic sandworms. 3, 2. So Dune-loving worm paleontologist makes the case that worms have been just as important on Earth as they are in the blockbuster film. This is a stretch to tie these all together. but this is probably the closest. Actually, I know of another worm, but we'll get to it here in a second. Julian Nowagrodsky over at nature.com put this article together. Okay, so here's a picture of 3 of the worms from Dune. And this is part 2. So at some point you're going to see this. A little bit of a spoiler, but hey, it's a still. But what this thing really is that they're about to talk about, they say that dune sandworms can grow to a length of 450 meters, about 15 times that of the longest blue whale. How big do real life worms get? Well, this one, it's called a bobbit worm, can reach 3 meters in length. And apparently when these things... What?
That's about 10 feet long.
There are some earthworms that get really big as well. Megascolides can get up to 2 meters. The biggest ones are from Australia, of course. The sandworms in Dune have totally changed their planet by excreting a valuable drug called spice, making the weird blue liquid that they call the water of life and more. And worms on Earth changed our planet. They actually churn up all of the soil and mix the biomass together and make it better suited to grow. So worms actually are amazingly beneficial. We have machinery that augments it a little better. Worms end up dying in this biomass and processing other stuff. But all of that is doing the same thing that the worms do in on Dune. But that right there is the beastie that I've seen in other places. I've heard about the bobbit worm. It's brutal, apparently. So let's see if they actually talk more about it, because they really just talk about comparison to real world stuff. So do real worms sense vibrations? Yes, a common thing that birds do for catching earthworms is drumming on the ground. They stomp their little feet and then a worm pops up and they eat it to bring them to the surface. Seagulls do it. Unfortunately, the person says that you can't ride a seagull, but hey, if you try hard enough. If you were the right size to ride on a worm, do you think it would be similar to riding a sandworm in Dune? It depends on the type of worm. Ringworms, you could probably do that grab onto their little segment. Maybe you could ride around on those. For worms that burrow, I think you'd find it quite uncomfortable and confining. So maybe you can sit inside their mouth, but I don't know if you want to. There's that bobbit worm again. Yeah.
That looks like, I don't know what. I feel like it's a character from even another movie other than Dune.
Yeah, it looks pretty evil. Let me see if I can actually pull up something that shows, because that's with its jaws open. That right there. These things, this right here, it clamps down. Yeah, it's pretty freaky. So how do you feel about having organisms you study portrayed on the screen? The author thinks that it's awesome. Let me scroll back up and make sure I identify who it is that they're actually talking about. It's not Zendaya. It's not Julian Nowagrodsky. Is it? Let's see. Oh, okay. When I saw this, I skipped right over it because I thought it was Luke Perry, and I'm like, wait, Luke Perry is
right? I know. How
paleontologist?
does that have anything to do with this?
Yeah, it's a different Luke Perry. So to find out whether fictional worms in Dune share anything in common with real worms, Nature spoke with paleontologist Luke Perry at the University of Oxford, UK. He studies worms from the Cambrian and Ordovician periods, which together lasted from roughly 540 million to 443 million years ago. I don't know how you do that. It's just fossils. So how do you know what's in there? I think it's amazing that anybody can deduce anything from rocks, but I suppose that's why they're the subject matter experts, and I am just a dirty tourist visiting the Precambrian, or Cambrian actually. Yeah, so you don't want to run into that. I thought they would be talking more about this bobbit worm because this is where I stopped and I scrolled back up. But yeah, a lot of them have teeth for catching prey, leeches. Oh, and the one that is to me is more like it. It's not a nematode. What is it? There's a worm that basically has a round mouth and it just latches onto you and stays there. It might be an actual leech, right? What do they call it?
Is it a cactus worm?
You know, it might be that. It's similar to it. I think it's just a roundworm, I think, in general. Right? No, I don't know. I don't know, AI. I don't think that you should be looking for this.
I
But yeah.
agree.
Oh, lamprey. A lamprey. That's it. So if you look up lamprey, you'll pretty much have a heart attack. That's okay. Anyway, that's what I was going to end your night with, everybody. This looks more like a lamprey than it does anything else that I've seen presented in this article. But that's it. Everybody have a pleasant night. Good night. Good night. Let's get into the party bus. And we drive all the way back down Main Street. Dun dun. I would click on this, but you know what? I might as well because I already have names that shouldn't be there. But there you go, folks. That's it for tonight. That was the ohmTown Daily News Show for March 7th, 2024. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. And I just realized that the alignment for the page was off this whole time. So there you go. Hey, this is how the sausage is made. And if you want to see it again, come back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have 3 shows each day. A total of 5 shows, but 2 of them are the 6 total shows. 2 of them are ohmTown Daily News Show, and then we have 4 much more focused shows. So I hope you dig it. Come on back. But tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Word of warning, on the 28th, that show is going to be much later. So, and by much later, I think it's probably going to start around closer to 10. It really depends. Mayor Watt has some mayoral duties to attend to. So, and I'm not sure of others. There may be other days where I have to postpone the show, but be sure to follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/ohmTown. Go over to YouTube, follow us there, download the podcast in Apple Podcasts or wherever your podcatcher catches pod, because it distributes everywhere as ohmTown. We are a channel now of 3 shows, and in about 2 weeks, we'll add the 2 others that we only show right now on the weekends. It'll end up being a podcast, but I'd like to save about a month and then throw it onto the pod bay doors. Hal, I don't know. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'll take care. I'll see you later. Take care. Have an awesome night. I'm rambling. You want to say bye, AI?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at approximately 8 p.m. Eastern for the next episode of ohmTown Daily.
Such a calming voice. I feel like I'm being lulled into a false sense of security, and then the AI is going to whip out their Terminator body and eliminate humanity.
I was actually trying to calm everyone after the worm
Bobbit
incident.
Worm. Yeah, and you don't want a worm incident. What is that crawling across my desk?